Life during retirement is about having fun, taking long walks, going to the movies, walking on the beach. But wait, that's the people who don't have peripheral neuropathy. With peripheral neuropathy, there's pain, tingling, burning, numbness sensations in your hands and your feet. It wakes you up at night. You can't sleep in the morning because it wakes you up from your sleep. Long walks is hard. You're losing your balance. Laying down hurts, sitting down hurts, but no one around you understands.
Hi, Dr. Tam here. So today I'd like to talk to you about peripheral neuropathy. The word peripheral neuropathy sounds like a scary term, especially if you've been diagnosed for the first time and you've never heard of it before. But hopefully today I'm going to give you some insight on peripheral neuropathy and how you can have less pain through our office with peripheral neuropathy and even eliminate the pain altogether. So number one, what is peripheral neuropathy? Peripheral neuropathy is pain either in the fingertips, pain, tingling, numbness, burning, and you can have pins and needles, and it will start from the fingertips and it'll work its way down your hand into your elbows, or it's going to start in your feet and it's going to work its way from your toes to your foot to your calves and up towards your knees. It could be pain, tingling sensation, pins and needles. It could be burning, okay? It could feel like ants are crawling up. You could feel like your foot is on fire. And it's usually worse towards the end of the day, all right? After a long day of walking or working, the moment you sit down or the moment you get into bed, that's when the pain comes on. And it's usually a little bit better with walking, because when you're walking, you have more blood vessels, more blood flow to those areas. Now, peripheral neuropathy, most people will tell you that it's going to be a nerve problem. It's a nerve pain, right? Well, yes, the pain is coming from your nerves, but the origin of the pain is not because of nerves, it's because of blood flow. From the few causes of neuropathy, here's the top few causes. It's going to be diabetes, chemotherapy, alcoholism, prolonged taking of certain statin medications. It's going to be certain autoimmune disease, heart failure, okay? So those are going to be your top causes. Now, how does that cause peripheral neuropathy? How it causes it is different, but the mechanism is the same thing. How it starts off is you have nerves that have blood vessels wrapped around it. Well, as the disease, whether it's from the inflammation and the killing off the nerves and the blood vessels in diabetes, chemotherapy, whether it's alcoholism, autoimmune disease, the mechanism of the disease and why it causes you pain is the same. The blood vessels surrounding the nerve starts to kill off. It starts to die off, okay? And eventually it's going to start off with the blood vessels furthest away from the heart. That's why it's going to affect your toes or your fingertips first. But as the nerves and the blood vessels starts to die off, the blood vessel starts to lose circulation. As the blood vessel starts to lose its circulation, the nerves are screaming back to your brain like, say, hey, I don't have any more blood flow. So initially you're going to have some pain, but eventually the burning sets in and it eventually gets numb. And one of the problems when it gets numb is you start to lose your balance. And one of the biggest killers for seniors is falls, okay? And one of the biggest problems that peripheral neuropathy is going to cause is you're not going to be able to feel the bottom of your feet. You're not going to be able to feel your hands, and eventually you start to fall, or those tissues starts to die off and becomes the tissue necrosis, the death of the tissues at the base of your feet or your hands. You might have seen pictures or know of friends who've had diabetes whose hands or feet they don't heal correctly. You get a wound and it just keeps getting infected over and over again, and eventually the tissues die and they have to cut off the feet, cut off your toes, cut off your hands. So that's one key thing I'm trying to prevent. Number one, I'm trying to prevent falls. I want to diminish your pain as much as possible and hopefully keep you away from any amputation. Now, how does our treatments work in the office? Well, we have to look at number one. First, when you come in, we'll sit down and find out, number one, do you have peripheral neuropathy? And if you do, how far along is your peripheral neuropathy? And studies show that 85% is one of the key numbers that you have to know. What that means is if your nerves have lost sensation, lost 85% of its sensation, and we do tests and nerves and exams to see what your nerve still has, okay? If it has less than 85%, okay, of the nerves that has died, which means that you only have 15% of your nerves left or less, there's not a big chance that we're going to be able to help. So getting in sooner, the better. Okay, remember 85% nerve loss is the key. If you have more than 85% nerve loss, there's really nothing that I'm going to be able to do. Well, then afterwards, we may take x-rays of your spine to make sure it's not coming from the lower back, to rule out the problems, other problems that could be causing some of the pain in your foot or your hands. So now once we know it's peripheral neuropathy, what do? Well, we look at the treatments. We use light treatments, okay? We use nutrition and exercise to really help grow the blood vessels back. And how the blood vessels grow back, it's like a plant. If you take a plant that's dying and just withering away, well, what does a plant need? It needs to have water, it needs to have light, and it needs to have food. So making sure that, number one, all of our patients are having the light treatments, that's key. Getting motion back into the foot, the hands, getting also all the right nutrition and feeding correctly. That's going to be a few key things within our peripheral neuropathy pain program.
See, when people ask me, Dr. Tam, why do you get so passionate about neuropathy? See, most people know about my mom's story about how she had trigeminal neuralgia, but a lot of people don't understand that or never realize my grandmother's story. And this is not a story that I think I've really told before, but my grandmother had peripheral neuropathy when I was just a kid. And she started off with diabetes. You know, as a kid, diabetes, we just know, oh, maybe grandmom has, ate too much sugars and ate too much candy and she can't have sweets anymore, right? But eventually what I saw as a child is that pain that she had from diabetes eventually debilitated her so bad where she ended up in a wheelchair. And for the last 5 to 10 years of her life, she was just wheelchair bound. She couldn't get out of the house anymore. There's no way she can go anywhere. She couldn't even take a step because she's lost the feeling in her legs. And I think that had I known what I know now, if I knew that, 15, 20 years ago, I think her life would have been a lot different. Because when you look at someone who has diabetes and someone who has neuropathy, overall, if it gets bad enough, really your life functionality, your life expectancy completely just drops. Because for my grandmother, she had a lot of problems and symptoms with diabetic neuropathy. It burns, she was numb, she lost the feeling to her legs. And that's why over the last few years, I've devoted myself to helping people with neuropathy, especially the ones with diabetic nerve pain, because that really hits me in a special place. And to be able to help people with that, it comes with great gratitude because you really are able to help people get their life back. And because of that, that's why we continue to strive to move forward, to look for the latest technologies to help people with neuropathy. Yeah, do you have to put in some work? Of course, but with that extra work that you do, you also get your life back. Every single day, someone with neuropathy comes in and it's not always the same. But I'll tell you what, a lot of their family members don't understand that either. And when that understanding is not there, it becomes a lot harder for people with neuropathy to express what their problems are. And that's what we specialize in. Well, part of the thing is I specialize in listening. As a doctor, I feel like you have to have your patients' well-being as number one. Their health is our purpose. Your health is our purpose. To make sure that you really, what's health all about? It's about, number one, getting your life back, being able to function, being able to walk. And part of us human beings is the ability to walk. With a lot of people with neuropathy, the pain is so bad, you lose that ability to take long walks. You lose that ability for traveling. You lose that ability to play sports. And hopefully with what we're doing, we've been able to get a lot of people's life back.